In the year 2247, Earth was a very different place. Wars were things of the past, stories told in history books and old movies. The world had come together under one government, focused on science, art, and making life better for everyone. People lived in peace, and most couldn't even imagine what it would be like to fight or fear another person. But all of that changed one quiet night when something unexpected happened. Dr. Laura Hayes was alone in her lab aboard the Eclipse Asterisk, a space station orbiting Earth. She spent most of her days studying stars, planets, and strange signals from deep space. It wasn't the most exciting job, but she loved it. That night, however, something unusual caught her attention. A faint signal came through the station's receivers, weak and crackling with static. At first, she thought it might just be interference, but then she heard words. Broken, repeating, and chilling. Help. Titan Protocol. They're coming. Laura froze. Her heart raced as she listened again and again. The voice sounded human, but there was something off about it, like it had been recorded a long time ago. She checked the source of the signal, but it didn't match any known spacecraft or colony. It seemed to be coming from somewhere far away, beyond the edge of explored space. Whoever, or whatever, sent it wasn't close by anymore. She knew she couldn't ignore this. Quickly, she called Commander Alex Carter, who was in charge of security on the station. Alex arrived within minutes, his tall frame filling the doorway of the small lab. He had sharp eyes and a calm demeanor, traits that made him good at his job. When Laura played the message for him, his expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "What do you think it means?" Laura asked, breaking the silence after the recording ended. Alex shook his head. "I don't know, but Titan Protocol sounds familiar. I've heard rumors about old military projects, stuff no one talks about anymore. If this is real, we need to find out where it came from, and fast." The two decided to dig deeper. Laura ran more tests while Alex contacted Earth to see if anyone there recognized the message. As they worked, neither could shake the feeling that they were stepping into something much bigger than themselves. The signal felt like a warning, but who was warning them? And who were they? Hours later, Alex received a response from Earth. A historian named Daniel Brooks had found some information about the Titan Protocol. According to ancient records, it referred to massive machines built centuries earlier. These machines, called War Titans, were designed to protect humanity from alien threats that never actually appeared. The project was abandoned, and the Titans were locked away in secret locations around the world. When Alex shared this news with Laura, her face turned pale. "So, whoever sent this signal knows about the Titans," she said softly. "But why now? And why us?" They didn't have answers yet, but one thing was clear. The signal had woken something up, not just the Titans, but also questions about humanity's past and future. Whatever was coming, it was big, and it was heading straight for Earth. As the hours passed, the weight of the situation began to sink in. Laura stared out the window at the vastness of space, wondering what dangers lurked out there. Alex paced the room, thinking about how unprepared humanity might be. For so long, people had believed they were safe, that the universe was empty and kind. Now, they weren't so sure. Little did they know, their lives, and the fate of the entire planet, were about to change forever, all because of a single distress signal that shouldn't have existed. Daniel Brooks sat in his small, cluttered office on the outskirts of Chicago. The walls were covered with maps, diagrams, and faded photographs of old military equipment. He was a historian, but not the kind who wrote boring books or gave lectures. Daniel spent his days digging through forgotten records, piecing together secrets that most people didn't even know existed. When Commander Alex Carter reached out to him about the mysterious signal, Daniel's curiosity was immediately piqued. The phrase Titan Protocol rang a bell. It wasn't something he had studied directly, but he had come across references to it during his research. After hours of searching through dusty files and encrypted archives, He finally found what he was looking for. The Titans weren't just machines. They were colossal biomechanical warriors, standing over 50 feet tall and equipped with weapons powerful enough to level cities. They were created centuries ago during a time when humanity feared invasion from alien forces. But those fears never came true, and the project was abandoned. What worried Daniel the most was how little information remained about the Titans. The files he uncovered were incomplete, filled with redactions and warnings. There were mentions of experimental AI cores designed to give the Titans autonomy, as well as fail-safes meant to prevent them from turning against their creators. Whoever built these machines clearly understood their potential for destruction and danger. As Daniel read through the documents, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Why would someone send a distress signal referencing the Titans now? And why did it sound so urgent? Something about this didn't add up. He decided to contact Dr. Laura Hayes and Commander Alex Carter immediately. When they connected via video call, Daniel explained everything he had learned. These Titans weren't just tools, he said, his voice serious. They were weapons of last resort. If someone, or something, is trying to reactivate them, we need to find out why before it's too late. Laura listened intently, her brow furrowed. But where are they? She asked. The files don't say anything about their locations. That's because they're hidden, Daniel replied. There are bunkers scattered across the planet, but their exact coordinates are classified. We'll have to start looking if we want answers. Alex nodded. Then that's what we'll do. I'll get clearance to investigate one of the bunkers. In the meantime, keep digging. There has to be more we can learn. The next day, Alex arranged for a team to travel to an old bunker buried deep beneath the Nevada desert. The journey was long and tense, with everyone aware of the stakes. When they arrived, they found the entrance sealed shut, protected by layers of security measures that hadn't been touched in decades. With some effort, they managed to bypass the locks and step inside. The air inside the bunker was cold and stale, carrying the faint smell of rust and oil. Rows of massive forms loomed in the darkness, covered in thick tarps. Alex pulled one off, revealing the towering shape of a war titan. Its metallic body gleamed faintly in the dim light, and its eyes, still dark and lifeless, seemed to stare into nothingness. Despite its dormant state, there was something unsettling about it, like it was waiting to wake up. Laura ran her hand along the Titan's surface, marveling at the intricate designs etched into its armor. "This is incredible," she whispered, "but also terrifying. What happens if we activate it?" Daniel frowned. "That's the question, isn't it? Are we ready to bring these things back online? Or are we playing with fire?" As they debated their next move, none of them realized how close they were to unleashing something far beyond their control. The Titans were silent for now, but the signal that led them here had awakened more than just machines. It had stirred memories of humanity's darkest fears. Whatever was coming, it was closer than they thought. Inside the bunker, the air felt heavy with anticipation. Laura moved carefully around the towering war titan, her mind racing as she tried to understand the technology before her. The machine was far more advanced than anything she had ever seen. Its body was a mix of sleek metal and strange, organic-looking components, like it was part machine and part living creature. Etched into its surface were symbols and patterns that seemed almost alien themselves. Commander Alex Carter stood nearby, watching her work while keeping an eye on the entrance. He didn't like this place. There was something about the silence that made his skin crawl. Every sound echoed unnaturally, and the weight of history pressed down on him. These titans were relics of a time when humanity prepared for war against beings from another world. Now, centuries later, they were being awakened again. Why? And by whom? Daniel Brooks stayed close to Laura, holding a tablet filled with notes and diagrams he had gathered. According to these files, he said, pointing to a section of text, the Titans are activated using a voice command linked to their AI cores. But there's also a manual override system somewhere in the chest cavity. Laura nodded, already searching for the access panel. She found it after a few minutes, a small hatch hidden beneath layers of protective plating. Inside, wires and circuits pulsed faintly, glowing with a soft blue light. "This is it," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "If I can connect my device to the core, I might be able to bring it online." As she worked, Alex kept glancing at the Titan's face. Its eyes remained dark, but he couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching them. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, his tone sharp. "We don't know what will happen once it wakes up." "It's a risk we have to take," Laura replied without looking up. "Whoever sent that signal knew about the Titans. If we don't figure out why, we could be walking into something far worse." Daniel agreed. "She's right. We're sitting ducks if those aliens, or whoever else, is coming for us. At least with one of these things active, we'll have a fighting chance." Finally, after what felt like hours, Laura stepped back. "I think I've done it," she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. She pressed a button on her handheld device, and the Titan began to hum softly. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the walls of the bunker. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, the Titan's eyes lit up, glowing a fierce red. Its head tilted slightly, as if scanning the room. For a moment, no one spoke. They just stared at the massive machine, waiting for it to move or speak. But it didn't. It simply stood there, alive but silent. Then alarms blared throughout the bunker. Red lights flashed overhead, casting eerie shadows across the walls. "What's happening?" Alex demanded, reaching for his weapon. Laura checked her device. "Something's approaching," she shouted over the noise. The sensors detected movement outside. Alex ran to the entrance and peered out cautiously. In the distance, shapes were descending from the sky, sleek, insect-like ships moving quickly toward the bunker. Behind them trailed smaller objects, too fast to identify clearly. "We've got company," he yelled. "Get ready." Without hesitation, Daniel climbed onto a control platform near the Titan's torso. "There's a cockpit here. Maybe I can pilot it," he called out. Laura hesitated, unsure if trusting the Titan was wise, but Alex didn't give her time to argue. "Do it," he ordered. "If those things are hostile, we'll need every advantage we can get." Daniel strapped himself into the cockpit, his hands trembling as he gripped the controls. The Titan responded immediately, shifting its weight and raising its arms. For the first time, it moved, and it was terrifying. The ground shook as the machine stepped forward, its sheer size dwarfing everything around it. Outside, the alien ships landed, deploying swarms of drones. The invaders wasted no time, sending their mechanical forces straight for the bunker. Alex fired his weapon, trying to hold them off, but it was clear they were outnumbered. "Now or never," Alex shouted. With a roar, the Titan surged forward, meeting the enemy head-on. Sparks flew as its massive fists crushed the first wave of drones. The battle had begun, and humanity's forgotten weapons were now its only hope. The battle outside the bunker was chaos. The War Titan, piloted by Daniel, moved with surprising speed and precision, its massive arms smashing through waves of alien drones. Each strike sent shards of metal flying, but for every drone destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Alex Carter fired his weapon from behind cover, picking off any enemies that got too close. Laura stayed near the entrance, monitoring the situation on her handheld device while trying to keep calm. Despite the Titan's power, the aliens showed no signs of retreat. Their insect-like ships hovered menacingly in the sky, sending reinforcements without pause. It was clear they hadn't expected humanity to fight back so fiercely, but they weren't about to give up either. "Daniel, watch your left," Alex shouted as a group of drones swarmed toward the Titan's leg, attempting to disable it. The machine stumbled slightly but quickly regained balance. With a thunderous stomp, it crushed the attackers beneath its foot. "I'm doing my best here," Daniel yelled back, his voice strained. Piloting the Titan was harder than he'd imagined. The controls were intuitive, almost like the machine responded to his thoughts, but the sheer scale of everything made it overwhelming. Every movement felt both powerful and dangerous. One wrong step could destroy the bunker, or worse, hurt his friends. Laura watched the screen intently, tracking the enemy movements. "There's something bigger coming," she warned. "One of those ships is deploying something large. I think it's a transport." Alex cursed under his breath. "If they're bringing ground troops, we're in trouble. We can't hold them off forever." Just then, the largest ship descended closer, and a hatch opened on its underside. A hulking figure dropped to the ground, a towering alien warrior encased in black armored plating. Its limbs were long and jagged, and its glowing eyes scanned the battlefield with cold calculation. It raised a weapon resembling a cannon and fired directly at the Titan. The blast hit the machine's chest, sending it staggering backward. Sparks flew from its armor, and warning lights flashed inside the cockpit. "I've been hit," Daniel cried out. "Whatever that thing is, it's strong. We need to take it down," Alex shouted. He aimed carefully and fired at the alien warrior, but his bullets ricocheted harmlessly off its thick armor. The creature turned its gaze toward him, raising its weapon menacingly. Before it could fire, the Titan recovered and lunged forward, grabbing the alien with one massive hand. The two struggled, locked in a brutal contest of strength. The alien roared, thrashing violently, but the Titan held firm, slamming it into the ground repeatedly until it stopped moving. Breathing heavily, Daniel leaned back in the cockpit. "That was close," he muttered, but there was no time to rest. More enemies were pouring in, and the Titan's systems were already showing signs of strain. As the fighting continued, Laura noticed something strange on her device. "Guys, look at this," she said, pointing to the screen. "These signals, they're not just attacking randomly. They're searching for something. It's like they're looking for the Titans specifically." Alex frowned. "You think they know about them? About what they can do?" "It's possible," Laura replied. "But why would they care? And how did they even find out?" Daniel's mind raced as he processed this new information. "Maybe the distress signal wasn't meant for us," he suggested. "What if it was a trap? Someone wanted to lure us. And them. Here." The thought chilled everyone. If true, it meant they had walked right into someone else's plan. But who? And for what purpose? Suddenly, another wave of drones surged forward, forcing the group back into action. The Titan charged ahead, its fists swinging wildly, while Alex covered its blind spots. Laura scrambled to hack into the Titan's systems, hoping to boost its defenses or unlock additional weapons. For now, survival was their only goal. But deep down, they all knew this fight was just the beginning. Whoever, or whatever, was behind the distress signal had set something much bigger into motion, and humanity's forgotten war machines might not be enough to stop it. The battle outside the bunker raged on, but the group knew they couldn't hold their ground forever. The Titan was strong, but it wasn't invincible. Its systems were overheating, and the alien forces showed no signs of slowing down. Alex Carter fired his weapon until his ammunition ran low, while Laura Hayes worked frantically to stabilize the Titan's core. Daniel Brooks, still piloting the massive machine, struggled to keep up with the relentless attacks. "We can't stay here." Alex shouted over the noise of explosions and gunfire. "We need to fall back before they overwhelm us." Laura nodded in agreement. "There's a resistance outpost not far from here. If we can make it there, we might have a chance." Daniel hesitated. "What about the Titan? We can't just leave it behind." "We don't have a choice," Alex snapped. "It's damaged, and we're outmatched. If we stay, we're dead." Reluctantly, Daniel powered down the Titan, its glowing eyes dimming as it went silent once again. The three of them grabbed what supplies they could and fled into the desert, moving quickly to avoid detection. Behind them, the alien forces swarmed over the bunker, searching for something or someone. Hours later, exhausted and battered, they reached the Resistance outpost. It was a small, makeshift base hidden in the shadow of a rocky canyon. Samantha Sam Riley, the leader of the Resistance, greeted them with suspicion. She was a tough woman in her late 30s, with sharp features and an even sharper tongue. Her group consisted of former soldiers and civilians who had chosen to live off the grid rather than follow the rules of Earth's centralized government. "What are you doing here?" Sam asked, crossing her arms. "And why is half the galaxy chasing you?" Alex explained everything: the distress signal, the Titans, the aliens, and showed her the data they had gathered. At first, Sam seemed skeptical, but when Laura played the original message, her expression changed. "This signal, it's old. Really old," she said quietly. "I've heard rumors about stuff like this before. Secrets buried so deep no one talks about them anymore." Sam agreed to help, but tensions ran high. Her people didn't trust outsiders, especially ones who brought trouble with them. Worse, one of Sam's lieutenants, a man named Kyle, kept glancing at the group with undisguised hostility. Daniel noticed but said nothing, chalking it up to paranoia. That night, as everyone rested, Kyle snuck away from the camp. He used a stolen communicator to send a coded message to the aliens, revealing the location of the outpost. In return, he demanded safe passage once the attack began. He didn't care about humanity's survival. He only cared about saving himself. The betrayal came swiftly. Just before dawn, alarms blared as drones descended upon the canyon. The Resistance fighters scrambled to defend themselves, but they were caught off guard. Chaos erupted as explosions rocked the area, sending debris flying everywhere. Kyle did this. Alex shouted, spotting the traitor trying to escape. He tackled him to the ground, but the damage was already done. The aliens were inside the perimeter, overwhelming the defenders. Amid the confusion, Laura realized something crucial. The signal, it wasn't meant to warn us. It was bait. Someone wanted both us and the aliens to find the Titans. Her words struck a nerve. If true, it meant humanity was being manipulated by forces they didn't understand. And now, thanks to Kyle's betrayal, they were paying the price. As the outpost burned around them, the group prepared for a desperate last stand. They had no choice but to fight, not just for their lives, but for the truth. Whoever had set this trap wanted the Titans, and they wouldn't stop until they got them. The Resistance outpost was in flames, and the group found themselves surrounded. Alien drones swarmed through the narrow canyon, their glowing eyes scanning for targets. The defenders fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Alex Carter fired his weapon until it clicked empty, then grabbed a fallen enemy's weapon to keep fighting. Laura Hayes crouched behind a crumbling wall, clutching her handheld device as she tried to hack into the alien systems. Daniel Brooks helped Sam Riley organize the remaining fighters, shouting orders over the chaos. "We can't hold them off forever," Sam yelled, reloading her rifle. "We need a plan. Now." Laura looked up from her device, her face pale but determined. "I've got an idea," she said. "Their ships are linked to a central command signal. If I can disrupt it, we might be able to disable some of their forces." "Do it," Alex shouted, tossing her a spare power cell for her device. "We'll cover you." While Laura worked, Alex and Sam led a counterattack, drawing the aliens' attention away from her. They moved together like a well-oiled machine, covering each other's backs as they pushed deeper into the battlefield. Daniel stayed close to Laura, keeping watch while she focused on the task at hand. Minutes felt like hours as Laura typed furiously, her fingers flying across the screen. Finally, she let out a triumphant shout. "Got it," she cried, pressing a button on her device. Instantly, several drones froze mid-air, their lights flickering before going dark. The disruption didn't stop all of them, but it gave the group a much-needed advantage. But the victory was short-lived. A massive alien transport ship descended into the canyon, its hull gleaming menacingly under the rising sun. From its belly emerged Vorthek, the alien commander, a towering, multi-limbed being with chitinous armor and glowing green eyes. He carried a weapon that crackled with energy, and his presence radiated authority. "Humans," Vorthek said, his voice deep and resonant, translated through a device on his chest. "Your resistance is futile. Surrender the Titans or perish." Alex stepped forward, raising his weapon defiantly. "You'll have to kill us first." Vorthek tilted his head, studying them with cold curiosity. "Your species is young, reckless, and dangerous. Centuries ago, my people encountered your ancestors in space. We saw your potential for destruction. To ensure your survival did not threaten ours, we planted the Titan Protocol among you. It was a failsafe, dormant until needed." Laura stared at him, horrified. "You sent the distress signal." "No," Vorthek replied. "That signal was intercepted and redirected by another faction, one seeking to exploit your creations. My fleet came to contain the threat, not escalate it. But now that the Titans are awakened, humanity must prove it deserves to survive." Before anyone could respond, Kyle, the traitor, emerged from hiding, pointing at Alex and his group. "They're the ones who activated the Titan. They're responsible for this mess," he screamed, trying to save himself. Vorthek turned his piercing gaze on Kyle. "Cowardice will not save you." With a single motion, he fired his weapon, disintegrating Kyle instantly. The message was clear. Betrayal would not be tolerated, even from humans. Realizing they had no choice but to fight, Alex and Sam rallied what remained of their forces. Laura uploaded the disruption code to portable devices, allowing others to disable more drones. Daniel armed himself with whatever weapons he could find, determined to protect his friends. As the battle raged on, one thing became clear. The aliens weren't here to conquer. They were here to judge. Humanity's fate rested on whether they could control the very weapons designed to destroy them. And somewhere in the chaos, hope still burned. The final battle was a blur of explosions, shouts, and the deafening roar of alien weapons. Alex Carter and Sam Riley fought side by side, leading their small group with fierce determination. Laura Hayes stayed in the center of the chaos, using her handheld device to disable more drones, while Daniel Brooks guarded her back, firing wildly at anything that came too close. The resistance fighters were outnumbered, but desperation made them fearless. Vorthek, the alien commander, moved through the battlefield like a storm. His weapon destroyed everything it touched, and his massive form towered over the humans. But despite his overwhelming power, he hesitated when he saw how fiercely they resisted. These fragile beings were willing to die for each other and for their planet. "We can't keep this up," Sam shouted, ducking behind cover as another explosion rocked the ground. "We need to take him down." Alex nodded, his face streaked with dirt and sweat. "Laura, any ideas?" She glanced at her screen, then at the towering war titan nearby. Its systems were still damaged, but not completely offline. "If I can reactivate the Titan, we might stand a chance," she said. "But I'll need time." "Then buy her some," Alex yelled, charging forward with Sam to draw Vorthek's attention. The two of them fired relentlessly, forcing the alien commander to focus on them instead of the others. Daniel stayed close to Laura as she worked, keeping a sharp eye out for danger. "Hurry," he urged, his voice tense. "They're closing in." "I'm almost there," Laura replied, her fingers moving quickly over her device. Finally, the Titan's eyes lit up, glowing red as its systems came back online. "It's alive," she shouted. Alex heard her and turned toward the machine. "Get it moving," he called out. "Now." Daniel climbed into the cockpit, struggling to figure out the controls. The Titan responded sluggishly at first, its damaged systems groaning under the strain. But once it began moving, it was unstoppable. With Daniel at the helm, the machine surged forward, slamming into Vorthek with incredible force. The alien commander stumbled but didn't fall. He raised his weapon, firing at the Titan's chest. Sparks flew, and warning lights flashed inside the cockpit, but Daniel refused to back down. Not today. He roared, guiding the Titan's massive fist into Vorthak's body. The impact sent the alien sprawling, his armor cracking under the pressure. Seeing their leader falter, the remaining alien forces began retreating. Their ships ascended into the sky, leaving behind a smoldering battlefield. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the sound of heavy breathing and the crackle of flames. But victory came at a cost. The Titan, its core overloaded from the battle, began to self-destruct. Daniel scrambled out of the cockpit just in time, collapsing onto the ground as the machine exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The shockwave knocked everyone off their feet, and when the dust settled, all that remained of the Titan was a smoking crater. As the survivors gathered, exhaustion weighing heavily on them, Laura looked around at what was left of their world. "We did it," she whispered, though her voice carried no joy. "But at what cost?" Alex placed a hand on her shoulder. "We stopped them. For now, that's what matters." Daniel nodded, his expression grim. The Titans were never meant to be used again. They're symbols of destruction, not salvation. If we're going to survive, we have to find another way. Sam stared into the distance, her arms crossed. "This isn't over. Those aliens will be back. And next time, we won't have ancient machines to save us." No one spoke after that. They knew she was right. Humanity had been given a second chance, but whether it deserved one was still an open question. As the sun rose over the ruined canyon, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the group stood together, united by what they had endured. The war titans were gone, but their legacy would linger. A reminder of humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction. And somewhere, deep in the stars, eyes watched and waited.